All right, let's dive into one of Japan's most genuinely terrifying urban legends, the story of the Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouthed woman. And like all the best ghost stories, this one starts on a dark, lonely street.
So I want you to imagine this. You're walking home, it's late, and the street is completely empty. All you can hear is your own breathing and the sound of your shoes on the pavement. But then, you hear something else. Another set of footsteps, right there in the dark with you. You stop. They stop.
But what if that spooky figure in the shadows isn't a ghost at all? What if it's just a joke? You see, the legend of Kuchisake Onna got so big in Japan, especially in the late 70s, that it caused a real panic. I mean, schools were actually sending kids home in guarded groups. The line between a scary story and reality got completely blurred. Its terror became a punchline.
And that brings us to our story, which really shows you how this whole thing works. We're in Tokyo. It's 1 in the morning, and a young woman named Akara is walking home. Her heart is absolutely pounding because the streets are deserted, but her head is full of these exact rumors about a ghostly woman who stalks people in alleys just like this one.
And then, boom. A figure steps out of the shadows. It's a tall woman wearing a long black coat, and her face is covered by a surgical mask. Now, that's a pretty common sight in Tokyo, which somehow makes it even creepier. She blocks Akara's path and asks this one simple, chilling question. Am I beautiful?
Akara is frozen solid with fear, right up until the woman pulls down her mask and just starts laughing. It's her roommate Anna pulling a really cruel prank. To them, the legend is just a scary story, something to mess with your friends about. But here's the thing about jokes like that. Sometimes, the real spirit is listening.
And this is where our story takes a much, much darker turn. Because when you make fun of an old legend, sometimes it decides to play back.
So a few days go by, and now it's Anna's turn to walk home alone after a late shift. She gets this feeling she's being followed. She sees a tall shadow moving behind her, but it's making no sound at all. She turns around, and there she is, a woman in a long coat and a surgical mask, looking exactly like the costume Anna wore to scare her friend.
Anna just laughs, thinking it's Akara getting some payback. Yeah, you're gorgeous, she says, trying to play along. But the figure doesn't laugh. She just glides closer and asks again, her voice totally cold and empty. Am I beautiful?
Okay, so this is where the legend gets really specific and, frankly, terrifying. It's like a game with no winning move. If you say no, she kills you on the spot for insulting her. If you say yes, she pulls down her mask to show you her face has been slit from ear to ear and she asks you again. Say no that time, you're dead. But if you say yes again, she takes out a huge pair of scissors to make your face look just as beautiful as hers. Now, over time, people have tried to figure out ways to escape. Like some say you can confuse her by saying you're so-so, or you can throw candy at her feet to distract her, but Anna doesn't know any of that. She's trapped in the original, deadly game.
So, this is it. The big question. What do you do? Anna's already said yes once. The woman pulls down the mask, revealing that horrific, bloody grin carved into her face. Am I beautiful? Now? She whispers.
Anna just screams, "No! You're hideous!" And just like that, her fate was sealed. You could see the rage fill the spirit's eyes. The very last thing Anna ever saw was the glint of light on a giant pair of scissors. The next morning, they found her body, her own face carved into a gruesome smile, just like the ghosts.
This brings up a huge question, right? Why? What could happen to someone to create a spirit filled with so much specific, violent rage? To get the monster, you first have to understand the woman she used to be.
Well, the legend goes that when she was alive, she was famous for her beauty. But that beauty became her cage. Her husband was this incredibly jealous, insecure man who basically kept her locked away. When he suspected she was cheating on him, he completely lost it. He grabbed a pair of scissors, carved her face from ear to ear, and screamed, "Who will think you're beautiful now?" It's this tragic story that taps into some really deep fears about jealousy and violence. She died, but all that pain and rage brought her back, as a vengeful spirit, forever trapped by that one cruel question.
So with the entire city gripped by fear, a local priest decides he has to do something. But what no one realizes is that this particular spirit is about to get a serious upgrade. A priest named Hoshuma decides to end this wave of murders himself.
He finds the Kuchisake Onna in a dark alley and confronts her. He's armed with sacred salt and a holy talisman, and as she screams at him, he throws them at her. She just dissolves into a mist and vanishes. The city breathes this huge sigh of relief. The killings finally stop.
But that peace doesn't last long. A few days later, Hoshuma has this awful dream. He hears the spirit's voice echoing in his head, making a promise. "I have returned," she whispers, "and now there will be such a dance of death that everyone will just watch." This wasn't the end. It was an escalation.
See, before this, her power had limits. She was a ghost of the lonely places, dark alleys, empty street corners. You were really only in danger if you were outside, by yourself, late at night.
But now, she's evolved. And this is what's so brilliant about urban legends. They don't stay the same. They adapt to whatever we're anxious about now. The ghost who used to haunt the streets now haunts our technology. She can appear in the dark reflection of your phone, she can materialize out of your computer monitor, or step right out of your bathroom mirror. Suddenly, there is nowhere to hide.
Hoshuma knows this new, terrible power is his fault. He realizes he's the only one who can possibly end this, so he prepares for one last, desperate fight.
He goes back to that same alley and calls her name. She appears before him, somehow even colder and more menacing than before. And she asks him her terrible question one last time. Am I beautiful? But Hoshuma is smart. He doesn't fall into the trap. He doesn't answer her question directly. He attacks the pain that's causing it. He reminds her of the truth she's buried under all that rage, that her husband's madness was the real monster, not her beauty. He tells her the love she lost was for her soul, not just her face. He's forcing her to see that her revenge has been aimed at all the wrong people.
The spirit just shrieks, clutching her head as his words break through her anger. And that's when Hoshuma delivers the final blow, turning her own obsession right back on her. "You have taken innocent lives," he says. "You are not beautiful. You are ugly."
As she's reeling from his words, Hoshima reveals his real weapon. It's not salt, it's not a talisman, it's a sacred mirror. He holds it up and forces the spirit to look at her own reflection, to see the monster she's actually become.
Seeing the true horror of her own face, twisted by so much hatred, she lets out this one final, agonizing scream and just dissolves. She was gone. But the story leaves us with this one last chilling thought. If a mirror is what defeated her, what's to stop any reflection, the one on your dark phone screen, a window at night, or the mirror in your own bathroom from becoming the doorway for her to come back? The legend sticks around because it taps into this universal fear, the terrifying power of vanity, and the idea that sometimes our own reflections might be hiding a monster.